So, welcome, Sam. Before we dive into the wider questions today, can we start with understanding more about the Southern Co-op business and how the business has adapted to serving your customers in the last 12 months?
Yeah, hi Tom. Yeah, no problem. So the Southern Co-op was established in Portsmouth, Hampshire, about 145 years ago. We're an independent cooperative owned by its 140,000 members, operating across about 11 counties in the south of England. Our main business is food, and we have a network of about 200 retail stores and quite a strong franchise arm included in that number. We also have our end-of-life services, and that includes crematorium and a natural burial ground. We, as a cooperative, we have a purpose beyond profit, and our values and principles to support and sustain the business that we practice, and committed to making difference in our local communities. Over the last 12 months, we've continued to trade. We've obviously been very focused on trading in a very safe environment for both our customers, our members, and our colleagues, and providing that sort of key service to the communities that we trade in.
And given the sort of continued adaptability and agility that you need today in an organisation like Southern Co-op, does finance get a big enough voice in developing strategies for future growth?
Absolutely. Our business continues to trade in a very fiercely competitive environment. That's why, in response to the changing market and some of the challenges that we face at the moment, we've reviewed and looked at our overarching business objectives, and we've made sure that the financial elements have been maximised, and we're looking at the performance of the existing business areas to ensure that we maintain that focus over the next 5 years. We need to remain sort of competitive. We need to also look at the size of the opportunities, and we need to transform our business both for our customers' experience, being sustainable, and championing that sort of reasonable, responsible business going forward.
Interesting. And the term like agile finance has been pushed around over the course of the past couple of years, and it's become sort of almost synonymous with strategic financial management. And how do you think, in your role, that technology can help deliver agile finance and enable the finance role to elevate the role they play in a company's direction?
So having the right tools are very powerful for a finance function. And so over the last few years, we've been very focused on developing and implementing a business warehouse. We need to provide a very robust structure for our data so that the finance teams can get the insights and have a single point of truth for them to be able to be efficient and be effective. We've worked really hard to ensure that we have other tools to enable and support the business planning, the forecasting, and other sort of key functions of that financial business, so that they can have that agile approach in how we look to the future, and how we sort of plan for the next steps, particularly sort of under the current environment and circumstances.
And are you seeing like a shift in the way that the senior execs at Southern Co-op are embracing technology, particularly to deliver finance reporting?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, about 2 years ago, I presented the BI strategy along with the technology roadmap to the leadership team. And, they've been really supportive. They've absolutely bought into the investment and the changes that we needed to make to, provide that robust infrastructure for the finance business. And the finance director has actually sponsored a lot of these changes so that we can get that buy-in from the finance team, because we have to make sure that what we deliver, they're ready to accept and take on, so that you get that sort of successful delivery. So absolutely, they've really bought into that. And now I have a seat at the program board, which on a regular basis I'm presenting the plan for supporting the finance business going forward, and amongst other things, but absolutely for the finance team.
And businesses like Southern Co-op, they continue to grow, but they could be struggling to effectively manage their financial planning on manual spreadsheets. So how much of an impact would not having technology as an enabler have on businesses' growth and delivering operational customer excellence?
Oh, a massive impact. The finance teams, the finance business wouldn't be able to make the sort of quick, informed decisions that they currently are able to do with the technology. It would mean that the business would struggle to grow at the speed and pace that we need to sort of compete in the environment that we do, and the impact on the finance colleagues would be immense. Now, don't get me wrong, they still have spreadsheets, and they use those on a regular basis, but they're more as an aid rather than the oracle of the data. The technology now is the source for providing that single point of truth, and then it's sort of supported by the spreadsheets. I don't think we'll ever get rid of spreadsheets, but absolutely the technology now is leading the way in making that enabling that informed decisions by those financial teams.
And I guess as part of that, as a discipline, scenario planning has developed significantly over the past few years. And then, of course, we had this sort of black swan event in the form of the pandemic, and largely the rule book was thrown out. So how are Southern Co-op approaching scenario planning now? And how has that changed from, say, 2 years ago?
So from our perspective, I would say our business continuity planning is very mature. And the pandemic was something that we had actually, or a pandemic was something that we had actually planned for and tested across the business. So, from a scenario planning perspective with the finance teams, as well as other areas of the business, including myself from a technology perspective. But so we were prepared, and we were able to implement the solutions and ways of working that enabled us to be on the front foot. Now, obviously, we're aware that the pandemic has been massively impactful, and I think having that sort of preparedness enabled us to be able to work with it, continue to be agile, and continue to make the decisions that the business needed, because obviously we went in a completely different direction to where we had planned. But yeah, I think we've been very fortunate that the governance and the leadership team were very keen to ensure that we had that scenario planning and business continuity plan in place for this eventuality.
So it remained a very valuable tool.
Massive.
Yeah, and by leveraging technology, what opportunities do you see there are for the finance function to become more accountable and forward facing, to help their business to become, I guess, financially resilient in the future?
Yeah, so the finance teams, I mean, they need to be spending their time analysing the data rather than gathering it. I think, the statistics say that they spend probably more proportionate amount of time gathering the data than they do actually, making those sort of informed decisions from the calculation of the analytic. So we need to provide them with those opportunities for the streamlined processes, so that the data is available to them. And as I said before, it's that single point of truth. The systems need to take the heavy lifting out of those processes, so that they get the information readily available and quickly. And we need to be able to make them sort of forward facing. That technology needs to be collaborative, to improve performance and present new ways of working, so that they get the insight for better decision making. Yeah, so I think there is we need to start really leveraging that technology.
And in your experience, is there an appetite for that in the finance function, to focus on their productivity so more analysis can take place to drive the business forward?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've certainly seen that appetite over the last couple of years, particularly with the investments that we have made and the changes that we've made with the systems. But obviously, the day-to-day operations and other areas of the business can take priority, and therefore the focus does get detracted somewhat. But I think the finance function is becoming critical to the growth and operation or is critical to the growth and operation of any business. So we have to ensure that focus is maintained, and we have to try and bring it up the priority as other things within the organisation can deflect from it at times.
Yeah, and then if we look at sort of things like financial integration, reporting and modelling, it's clearly on the minds of finance professionals. But looking ahead, how prepared is companies such as Southern Co-op to start considering those capabilities in the AI space, such as automation?
Yeah, so we've actually already dabbled in AI and automation. We ran a proof of concept over the summer last year. We just focused on one or two processes where we felt that we would get some benefit, and we really did see some positive opportunities coming forward to us. I think with the merging technologies and tools available, such as cloud, AI, there is a greater availability to deliver those benefits. And it's certainly something that we're starting to think about and starting to look at for the future.
And do you think the rise in tech capabilities for the finance function has that changed the skill sets required of finance?
As with any innovation, we have to all learn and adapt. But I think there is that opportunity for the finance function with new tech capabilities to learn as they go along and to embrace them. They may need to adjust their skill sets, but I think there is that appetite within the finance functions to sort of take that on board and really take the opportunity for these new skills that they'll be learning and adapting the way that they work.
And then how much does your business sort of rely on external data? And how do you ensure you're looking at the right data to build scenarios and inform strategies? I know you touched on that before about how to use data, but it'd be really interesting to get that point of view.
So we use external data across the business in many of our business areas. And as part of our BI strategy, we have an aspiration to create a platform for all of the business analytical data to be presented from. So, and we think that this will allow the business to essentially have the right data at the right time, presented in a very familiar and standard format. And from that, they will have the opportunity to then really robustly create those scenarios and have that information to inform those strategies going forward. It's a long-term objective, and it's a journey that we started a couple of years ago. So we're sort of focusing on the priority data, and we're making slow progress. But I think the business has really bought into that strategy, and the finance team really can see the benefit that in the future they will have all of the information, all of the data in one location. And as I said before, one source of the truth.
So we're coming to the end of this discussion now, Sam. And over recent years, other organisation functions such as marketing and the supply chain, they've had the spotlight on them to focus on growth and operational efficiency. However, how critical do you see the finance function and the finance leaders within their companies as crucial for the success of a business moving forward?
Oh, massively. I mean, finance has always been and will always be a critical function in any business. But going forward, the focus has to be on providing them with the right tools, the right software, the right system, the right solutions for them to be efficient, to be productive, and even more so because of what's happened in the last 12 months. I think, and with the advent of AI and automation, the focus will be on those tools to provide that productivity and ensure that those areas of the business and those leaders within those areas of the business can be productive. So yeah, absolutely. I truly believe that that's coming their way very much.
Well, it's been fantastic listening to you today. Thank you so much for your time, Sam.
No worries, Tom. Thanks very much.
Thank you.